This is your first article on the topic of racism. U.S. laws that oppressed black people were known by name Jim Crow. Racial discrimination is an ugly part of U.S. history. Long after slavery ended, African Americans were still treated as second-class citizens. Racial discrimination has existed throughout the United States, but the South had a special set of laws. The laws had a name, Jim Crow. Since the 1970s, Jim Crow laws, often found in the South, kept black people out of whites-only spaces. Black people were prevented from attending whites-only schools, eating in whites-only restaurants, and sleeping in whites-only hotels. They had to sit in the back of the bus and had to use different drinking fountains and bathrooms. During the 1960s, many African Americans protested segregation and other Jim Crow laws. This led President Lyndon B. Johnson to sign the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The new law outlawed both segregation and racist laws that were used to keep black people from voting. Today, we still use the term Jim Crow to describe the South's system of segregation and discrimination. However, the real person that the system was named after wasn't Southern. Jim Crow came from the North. Jump Jim Crow. Thomas Dartmouth Rice, a white man, was born in New York City in 1808. In his 20s, he became a theater performer. In the early 1830s, Rice began performing an act that would make him famous. This was when slavery was still legal. Rice painted his face black and did a song and dance he claimed was inspired by a slave he saw. The act was called Jump Jim Crow, or Jumping Jim Crow. Rice would put on black face makeup, said historian Eric Lopp, meaning he would darken his skin. He would also dress in rags. In the minds of many white people of that time, the way Rice dressed and acted was typical of black slaves in the South. Rice's act belonged to a genre called blackface minstrelsy. This form of entertainment showed black people as dim-witted and ridiculous. It even suggested that black people were happy to be slaves. Rice's act was a big hit in New York City. At the time, New York was one of many places in the North where white people could see blackface minstrelsy. In those years, blackface minstrelsy was quickly becoming very popular. Rice took his act on tour, even going as far as England. As he became famous, his stage name became part of American culture. Jim Crow became a racist nickname for African Americans, said Lott. To call someone Jim Crow wasn't just to point out his or her skin color. It meant seeing that person as the simple-minded character that Rice performed on stage. From theater to legislator. Travelers on the Atlantic and North Carolina Railroad during the present month have noted the drawing of the color line in the passenger coaches, reported the paper. Captain Tilley, it said, is unceasing in his efforts to see that the color line, otherwise the Jim Crow law, is literally and fearfully enforced. Experts don't really know how a racist performance in the North came to be the name for a set of racist laws in the South. They can make some informed guesses, though, Lott said. The term Jim Crow may have been used because that's just how white people referred to black people back then. However, it happened. The new meaning stuck. Over time, blackface minstrelsy popularity faded. Though it never died, Rice himself was mostly forgotten. Today, most people don't know Rice's name.